Putting yourself on track to be a millionaire can be way easier than you might think. You don't need to start rich. You don't need to be a genius. You may not even need to put in that much effort. Sound too good to be true? Well, these three young investors behind me are living proof that getting there is not only possible, it's also easier than ever before. So let's discover the secrets to their early success and how you can follow in their footsteps. You're watching Inside Investing. Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Inside Investing, the show that helps you level up your financial knowledge and sharpen your investing skills. Presented by TD Direct Investing, named Canada's best online brokerage by the Globe and Mail for 3 straight years and counting. I'm your host, Rob Moise, and we're excited to have you here for Investor Education Month this October. It's all about helping you turn small steps into big opportunities in your financial life. Maybe it's a down payment on a house, maybe it's a dream vacation, a comfy retirement. Whatever it is, investing can be one of the best places to start. But don't take it from me, take it from the young investors just like you who've done it before. Let's bring them in and let's get chatting here. We got Reni Odetoyinbo, founder of Reni the Resource, Bilaal Dhalech, founder of BD Investing, and Joyee Yang, founder of Joyee Yang Finance. They're each DIY investors and financial content creators with hundreds of thousands of followers across social media. It's great to have all of you back with us. Thanks for taking the time. Great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, you've all been on the show before. It's nice to have everybody together here. And I think you all have really compelling stories here because very early in life, you've all done something incredible in your financial lives. And I want to give you guys a chance to brag about it, okay?
Okay.
I want to, Bilaal, let's start with you. Tell me, what was like the biggest financial accomplishment that you've done to date so far that you feel like investing played a really big part in?
I would say the biggest financial accomplishment is having a portfolio that's almost close to $500,000. And that's at the age of 29. And if I wanted to retire and quit my job and just be a full-time content creator, I could. So at this point, I'm just working for fun.
That's a pretty incredible thing because a lot of people in life, their whole working lives don't get to almost $500,000. Here you are at 29 and you're a young pup and you've already got it. It's fantastic.
I like to think I'm young.
Exactly. Okay, so Reni, what about you? Biggest financial accomplishment so far?
I would say the biggest financial accomplishment would probably be buying my house at age 23. So I was able to invest since age 18, and by the time I was 23, I bought my first house, which is now a rental property. And since then, I rebuilt my investment portfolio to over 300K, also at age 29. So those are some of my accomplishments.
Wow, okay. I mean, a lot of people don't even afford a down payment on a house at 33, even with help from the bank and mom and dad here. So here you are at 23 having pulled it off. That's incredible. Joyee, what about you?
Well, if you want me to brag. Paid off my car, paid off my student loans, put a down payment on a condo at the age of 23 as well. And that's all while being kicked out of my parents' house. So that's my little brag story.
What, getting kicked out of your parents' house, what happened?
It was just some tension between me and my parents having a newborn baby at the time. Not mine, my parents' newborn baby. I was the sole caregiver of the baby, wasn't having it, so I voiced that opinion, and they kicked me out.
Okay, so well, you kind of turned like a tough situation, I guess, in a lot of ways, getting kicked out early into, I guess, a stepping stone to some pretty incredible financial accomplishments here. So bravo to you. Now, one of the things too, obviously we were just talking about is investing has played a big part here. I'm curious like how you guys even got started on the path to investing to even put yourselves on these trajectories here. So Bilaal, back to you. Like, why did you decide to start investing in the first place?
Well, I started my real job around age 20, 21. And after I was done buying all the Air Force Ones and all the PlayStation games, I had a lot of money saved up. And I'm just like, all right, the 1-2% interest rate is not going to grow that money. So I started talking to some of my coworkers. So I had 2 types of coworkers. I like to say I have the rich coworker and I have the poor coworker. And the rich ones were all talking about, hey, invest it, stock market, real estate. And then the poor ones were saying, hey, get a F-150, a $100,000 truck, living paycheck to paycheck. And that just wasn't it for me. So I decided to learn about the stock market. Although at 21, I thought the stock market was a scam because that's kind of what you hear everywhere on social media. But I said I'm not going to be ignorant. I'm going to try to learn about it. So I started YouTubing about the stock market. I started reading books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Intelligent Investor. I started looking into investors like Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, and yeah, I slowly learned how to invest. Also through the help from my coworkers who kind of sparked that thought, and then through my own self-education.
Right on. And you sort of had like a real life rich dad, poor dad type
did.
kind of thing with co-workers there, right?
Yeah.
Cautionary tale you didn't want to go down.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Reni, what about you? What got you started?
Mine's a little different. I started investing at the age of 18, and it's thanks to my parents. So my dad has been investing for a while now, and since I was actually 4 years old, I opened my first bank account, or they opened it for me at TD actually. And every time an aunt or uncle would come to the house, I would have to put like half of what they gave me into this bank account. So I learned the habit of saving from a very early age. And then when I turned 18, my dad sat me down and said, it's time to buy your first stocks. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? So he, like literally on my birthday, we sat down and learned how to buy my first stocks, and I bought some bank stocks. And then I moved into, once I started making more income, I was working a $9 an hour job at the time, but he would say 50% of this has to go into your investment account. So I did that, and yeah, ever since then, I've been investing in the stock market. I started with stocks, now mostly ETFs.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that in a little bit, but I think we have to give a shout out to your parents
Yes,
here. Like, thank you for
shout
putting me on that track. I was
For
doing much less productive things at age 18
Yeah.
than you were here, so like that's fantastic that they got you on that track there. And Joyee, we talked about it a little bit, but tell us a little bit. How did you even get started investing? You get kicked out early. You know, you're working a bunch of different jobs and stuff like that. How do you even have time to start investing? Like, what got you going?
Funny enough, my dad actually told me not to invest because, again, it's a scam. And I come to find that it's only a scam when you invest in companies where people are like, this is going to 100x or 1000x tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's definitely a gamble and a scam. But investing in index funds and ETFs isn't a scam. And so when I got kicked out, I needed to make more money. I needed to make my money work for me. And then I stumbled upon dividend stocks, where it'll give you dividends, or where a company pays you for buying and holding their stock. And so when I got that little dividend payment at the end of the quarter, I was hooked. And that's how I started investing.
There is something intoxicating about seeing like the passive income roll in, for sure. Like I totally get that. So, I mean, I guess in a way that you kind of have your dad to thank as well, just in a more roundabout way than Reni's kind of had here. But there you go.
Thank you, Dad.
Yeah. Woo. Fascinating stuff. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I think a lot of our audience is thinking like, okay, I want to be like you guys. I want to get on the path to creating wealth here too. So let's get into that, okay? We're going to dive into some of your top investing tips for beginners here. And we're going to have some fun along the way too, okay? We've got whiteboards and markers here for you, and we're basically going to go rapid fire with some of the responses to these questions that we have. We'll get into that in just a moment. And for our audience here too, if you want to get in on the conversation as well, you have some questions for our panelists, we want to hear from you here. So if you're watching on our web broker platform, you can use the questions box there to send your comments into us. If you're watching on our broadcast platform, you can use the questions and comments box. And if you're watching on our YouTube live stream, you can click on the link in the description to join the broadcast platform. That's where you can go ask your question from there. Okay, so guys, I want to get into this. I want to start at the very beginning of your investing journeys here. And obviously one of the biggest challenges that a lot of young people have, like we were sort of touching on earlier, is that, you know, it's the confidence to even get started in the first place. And this was very apparent to me when I visited George Brown College in downtown Toronto here. We heard from students there who were telling us if and how they invest. Let's hear what they had to say. Have you ever heard of investing?
I've heard of that, but I don't have any knowledge to it.
I lost quite a bit of money on there. I don't know if it's a flex, but yeah.
That's a flex you don't tell anybody about.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's a bad flex, I guess.
Yeah. Except you're on camera now to the whole wide world.
I save all of my money in cash.
So you keep it like under your mattress beside your shotgun? Yeah.
No, yeah. Under my mattress, yeah.
What about RRSP?
Again, you gotta remind me on that.
You don't know what an RSP is? What about a TFSA? Nope. So what made you want to invest in the tech stocks that you did?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
You just randomly pick things to invest in? I'm curious, how come you don't invest your money?
Because I was not taught how to do that growing up.
I want to look into investing and maybe try and make a profit out of that. But I'm very inexperienced in that, so I gotta learn first and then invest.
Okay, so clearly a lot of confusion going on there, a lot of not know what I'm doing kind of thing. So let's kind of clarify things for people. Let's help them out here. You've got whiteboards and markers beside you here. Let's break them out here.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you guys some questions, rapid fire style. You're going to give me your answer, and then we're going to compare and contrast what you guys have here, okay? Ready to go here?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so our first question here. On a scale from 1 to 10, how knowledgeable do you think you need to be to start investing? The anticipation is killing me. All right, let's see the big reveal. Joy, if you could write smaller next time too, that would be okay, so Joy, you say 3 out of 10. Reni 4 out of 10, and Bilaal 3 out of 10. Okay, so you guys are all kind of in the same range here.
Yeah.
I'm curious why. Like, for example, you know, Reni, why do you think it's just like a 4 out of 10?
I think that you need to know a little bit about investing. Like, know the basics. What is investing? Why do people invest? What is the growth potential that you could have? But I don't think you need to know how to analyze a stock in order to invest in the stock market. They're very I would say there are very advanced ways to invest and very simple ways to invest. So just to start, you just need the basics, I would say.
Mm-hmm, right. Like, it's kind of one of those things where, like, don't wait until you're an expert, because you're never going to be an expert, right?
Even us, we're probably not experts yet.
For sure, yeah. I think even some of the best investors in the world. Easy. No, but I mean, even some of the best investors in the world, like, they're constantly learning too.
Exactly.
Right? So that makes perfect sense. Joyee, what about you here? Because I saw you said even lower, 3 out of 10 here. I'm curious, when you got started investing, where did you go to get the information that would help you build your confidence and get to that point and even get started?
Yeah, well, personally, I started investing at a 3 out of 10. Like, even hindsight, looking back now, I knew nothing about investing. I was kind of just doing research on YouTube, like Bilaal said, YouTube University, spent 8 hours watching my favorite finance influencers, and kind of just got the gist of how investing works, what the stock market is, and what's the growth potential, like you said. And then knew that there are smarter ways to invest and there are not smart ways to invest. And so I decided to only put in like $100 to $200 at the time. And it wasn't, I mean, it was a lot of money for me, but it wasn't like I couldn't pay rent. So I took the leap to, you know, kind of put in $100 to $200 and saw that, you know, my life didn't end, my money didn't disappear, and in fact, I got a payment of a little bit of a dividend. So
yeah, we're going to hear a little bit more too about your first experience trading, like from all of you guys here. But that's great stuff. So you don't have to be an expert. I think that's a good comfort for a lot of folks. We got our second question here. Our second question is, how much money do you think you actually need to start investing? What do you guys think?
a dollar amount?
Dollar amount. Okay, Reni's ready to rock. Bilaal, Joyee. Okay, let's reveal. What do we got? $10, $25, $1,000. Okay, so that's a big range here. Bilaal, why do you say 1,000? Because yours is way higher than everybody else's.
Okay, so I say $1,000 because when I first started investing, it was $100, and I don't think I had enough skin in the game. So I feel like nowadays you kind of really need to get your feet wet and feel yourself like either losing money and gaining money. So what I always like to say is, if you're gonna put your first, $100 or $1,000, you want to kind of test out the market. So if the market goes down or your stocks go down, see your emotions, because this is a very emotional game, right? You can be the smartest guy in the room, but you will make emotional investments just because you see your money go down or your money go up. So I would say, yeah, you need some skin in the game. I think $1,000 is a great place to start.
Okay, so like not like just like play money where it doesn't really have any consequence to you. You need to feel the pressure a little bit.
You need to feel the pain, and you need to feel the gains.
Interesting.
That is such a guy thing.
Yeah.
Like, if I feel something, I'm not doing it.
Look, you need to feel. This is your hard-earned money, so you need to see. If you're losing money, then the stock market is not for you. If you're winning some money, then hey, go all in. No, I'm joking.
Okay, so that's your point of view. But Reni, I know you guys both want to jump on here. But Reni, so you said $25.
Yeah, because just working with a lot of people and coaching them, I feel like if somebody had to save up $1,000 in order to invest, it would feel like an unsurmountable amount of money, and then they just would not invest, right? So I think the average person doesn't. A lot of people just don't have $1,000 laying around that they can throw into the stock market. Not to talk of $1,000 that they could possibly lose by investing. So I am big on, let's start with what we have, $25 a month. Put that into the stock market and see how it goes. Whether $1,000 goes up 10% or $25 goes up 10%, it's still going up or down 10%, right? So
am I supposed to be happy on $1 of gains?
But it gets you comfortable.
No, I get that.
Right? Yeah, so that would be my opinion.
Yeah,
but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, build the habit.
Yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying here. But now I think some people might wonder, like, okay, well, $25 to start with sounds a lot better than $1,000 to start with, frankly, right?
Yeah.
But how can you start with such a little amount of money?
Yeah, so there's actually something called fractional investing. And fractional investing is when you don't have to buy the entire stock, you can just buy a portion of that stock. So that's why I like to tell people, yes, let's say a stock ABC costs, $500. you don't have to save up $500 in order to get into it. You can actually start with buying $25, which is whatever percentage of that stock. So.
Okay, yeah, and then like just little by little, you kind of build the muscle.
Exactly.
I think is what I'm taking away here. So
Exactly.
that makes a lot of sense here. Okay, let's get to our third question here, and our third question is, at what age does it make sense to start investing? Okay, let's see. Is Bilaal going to go contrarian again? I don't know. We'll see.
Probably.
We'll see what we got. All right, what do we got? Okay.
Not a number.
All right, let's go. Let's reveal 18, 18, and ASAP. Okay, which would be 18. Okay, so you guys are all in agreement here. Okay, so that's
Is it 18?
Well, tell me more.
Should I tell you a secret here?
Tell me a
So
secret.
Can I change my answer?
No, I've actually had young kids in my messages around age 16, I would say, that are actually educating themselves, and then they get FOMO. So what they're doing is they're opening TFSAs on behalf of their parents or their mom, and they start investing. Now, I don't recommend that, but we are seeing the younger generation, which I'm actually happy to see, getting into the stock market with as little as $25 to $100.
Right.
But it's very amazing to see that the younger generation is educating themselves early on, so they're going to be ready for when they get that TFSA room.
And also, once they start working, if they are at a company that matches RRSPs, technically they could start investing before age 18 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
I was just going to say that high interest savings accounts, you could be, I think,
That too,
13 to open one, or maybe, I don't know, don't quote me on that. But yeah, like high interest savings accounts, I would still consider, well, not investing, but still growing your money somehow.
Yeah.
And just seeing your growth of that money will want to help you invest later.
Totally, yeah. Again, it goes back to that, like building the muscle, building the habit, building the routine, so that when you have $1,000 like a high roller like Bilaal, you got the money to throw in.
Listen, the mistake we all made was not buying NVIDIA when we were 5 years old.
I know,
That's the mistake we made.
I agree.
Well, okay, so on that note, I think a lot of young people might wonder, okay, so I can start with $25 like Reni's saying, or whatever small amount. But like, what's the point? Like, why bother? Like, what is a small amount of investment going to do like that? Well, like, what's the benefit to starting really early like that, regardless of like what small amount of money you're starting with? What do you think?
I would say you're kind of building on good habits here. So you're learning how to save and you're learning how to invest. I always like to compare the investing game to like working out or going to the gym, right? The small gains, they compound, and the compound effect is one of the 8 wonders of the world. So just starting off early, building that portfolio, learning along the way, because investing is a journey. So even though I say starting with $1,000, it's the whole process that you go to. And when you first reach that first $100,000, and Charlie Munger always says, that first $100,000 is hard, but you have to do it, because that's when the magic happens. And I think all of us are like the living proof of that, because I'm sure we can all agree that after we got the $100,000,
it's smooth sailing.
Yeah.
I think that's really heartening for a lot of people to know. I mean, Charlie Munger, one of arguably the best investors of all time. So, whatever he's doing something right.
He did something right.
So there you go. So that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, the compound interest effect is so powerful, right? I mean, it sounds like it's nothing at the start, but then once it gets rolling, like you say, it can like really take on a life of its own, and it's exciting. Here we are. We started with like $25, $10 or whatever like that. Now we're always at $100,000 here. That's awesome. Like, look at this. Okay, well, we got a lot more to get to. Appreciate you guys sharing your take here for a minute. We'll deal with the whiteboards a little bit later here, so you can pop them on the side there. Lots more to get to, but before we do and get to that, quick question for our viewers here. Are you enjoying the show so far? Because if you are, you make sure that you follow TD Direct Investing on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. You can get a sneak peek at upcoming episodes and a ton of other content designed to help build your investing knowledge. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out Investor Education Month. Okay, we got tons of stuff going on. You can scan the QR code on screen here or go to td.com/IEM to see a full listing of events. We've also got a really exciting contest this IEM. You're really going to like the prize, okay? Let's hear more about it.
The Investor Education Contest, brought to you by TD Direct Investing, is officially live. Canadians can enter today for a chance to win a check for $7,000 and a 1-hour private educational session with a TD Direct Investing client education instructor. There are 3 ways to enter. Visit the TD Direct Investing Facebook page, click follow, then like the contest, post dated September 10th, 2025. Follow TD Direct Investing on Instagram and like the contest, post dated September 10th, 2025. Or attend a TD Direct Investing Investor Education Month workshop. Learn how to register at td.com/IEM. You can enter once using each method. The contest runs until October 31st, 2025. Scan the QR code for full contest rules and details.
Fantastic contest. Who doesn't like a shot at $7,000? You top up that TFSA in 1 year right there, okay? So make sure you check out that contest. But back to the conversation here. We had some whiteboard fun here. Now I want to throw another little twist at you guys here. You guys all have different investing strategies. Obviously, they've all worked for you to some extent, so there's no one way to do this. But I want to pit your different strategies against each other a little bit, okay? And I know Bilal's raring for a fight here, too. We've already seen him kind of going at it here. I want to hear your 30-second elevator pitch for your investing strategy. Joyee, why don't we start with you? Give us your 30-second summary of your investing strategy, what it is, and why you like it for beginners.
All right, my favorite investing strategy is dollar cost averaging, or DCA. It's when you invest the same amount of money into the same stock or ETF every single month without the fear of it going up or down. You just buy it same time every month, same amount of money. And I think that helps beginner investors a lot because one, you're not investing all of your money at the same time. And two, it takes the emotions and the guessing game out of when should I buy or how much should I put in. So that's my investing strategy.
And I think that was under 30 seconds too. I was doing a little mental math there. So fantastic stuff. And actually the interesting thing too about this dollar cost averaging approach that you're talking about here is because I know you like dividend stocks too, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. As you dollar cost average, you get more and more dividends, and the dividends build on the dividends, and it starts that compound effect that we were talking about. So awesome stuff. Okay, great little summary there. Reni, you're up next, okay? 30 seconds, go.
Okay, so my favorite strategy is lazy girl investing, which I would call ETF or index investing. So essentially what I do is I buy a fund which has a group of different companies instead of buying individual companies. And the reason I love it is because it is for the person who wants to make money while they're sleeping and doesn't want to be stressed that the market is going up or going down. You just know that you are buying a diversified fund, which is already created for you by a professional fund manager. So you don't have to do any work. It's just stress. You know, I can be on vacation and my money is growing for me. So that would be my strategy.
You said the two magic words for me, lazy and vacation.
Perfect.
So I can totally get on board with that kind of strategy. It has a lot of appeal, I can see. Bilal, what about you? 30 seconds. Yours is a harder one, I think, to summarize in 30 seconds. Let's see what you can do. Let's see what you can do.
All right, my favorite strategy is to do high-risk bets, okay? Now, I use the word bets, but let's ignore that. So high-risk investing into long-term solid fundamental companies. You don't need to take the small-cap stock that, you know, your taxi driver told you. You can go with the Magnificent Seven, companies that you know that will survive for the next 10, 20 years, Apple, Google, you name it. We don't like to get $5 dividends. I'm sorry. We want larger dividends, and with larger dividends, that means you need a lot of money, and the only way to grow your money, the best way in a short amount of time is to do high-risk investing in large-cap stocks, tech stocks.
Okay, I can't believe you packed that into 30 seconds. There you go. And a little jab at the other investing styles along the way here.
I'm here to fight.
All in good fun, of course. Now, Reni, I want to go back to you for a second here because you talked about this passive indexing approach here. What does a portfolio look like if you're doing passive index investing? Like, give us a little peek inside how you do it.
So for me personally, I like to take a 3-fund approach. So I have my Canadian ETF, I have a US ETF, and then I have an international ETF. And the proportion depends on you and your personal risk tolerance, but I am heavy on US, then Canada, and then a very small percentage in international stocks. Other people like to take a 1-fund approach where they have an asset allocation ETF, or some people want 4-fund where they add in a bond ETF. Whatever it is, it's all three, you can, all of the different options are very simple. So yeah, that's how I approach it.
So again, like short, sweet, very diversified.
Yes.
Bilal, obviously you feel differently because you know passive investing is not as much of a part for you. It's not nothing, but it's not something.
Yeah, I mean, my portfolio, to be honest, I'm not gonna hate on ETFs. I think ETFs are an excellent tool. I totally agree with the lazy girl guy investing. It's passive investing is the way. So my portfolio, I'll just break it down. It's 60% is in individual stocks, right? High growth stocks. I would say 20% is in ETFs, and those ETFs include the S&P 500 index, also dividend ETFs, so like financials, whatever. And then the other 20% would go into cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and also gold.
Okay, so you got like a grab bag of a bunch of different stuff that all kind of comes together here. So that's like a diversification in a different way too. Yeah. So I can appreciate that.
I'm still taking risk with 60% into individual stocks, but I always like to, when you look at your portfolio, I look at it like building a house. So you want a strong foundation. And I think ETFs, like an index ETF, and then also gold is a solid foundation to place your individual stocks on top of.
Okay,
I
nice
agree.
analogy there, good rationale. And Joyee, what about you? Like, give us a peek inside your portfolio. Again, we know like you like some indexing too, but you also like dividends. So like, how does this all come together for you?
Yeah, I kind of have like a mix of both of their portfolios. So with Reni, I do love my index funds. 50% of my portfolio, or maybe even 55% now, is more in broad market ETFs. And then I have about 40% in individual stocks. Every single stock in my portfolio does pay a dividend. They are blue chip stocks though, so Dividend Aristocrats, Dividend Kings.
And what are those real quickly?
Oh yes, Dividend Aristocrats are companies that have been paying and growing their dividends for 25 years, 5 in Canada, 25 in the US. Dividend Kings are the companies who has been paying and growing their dividends for 50 years. And then I have like about 3 to 5% in crypto as well.
Okay, yeah, and Bilaal, I know you're a fan of crypto here. Reni, your thoughts on crypto?
I actually do have a
have some-
small percentage. I think 5%
Nice.
probably.
Yeah. Sounds like all you guys keep it like pretty small though, all
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
considered, right? Yeah, okay.
Too speculative.
Okay, well, appreciate you guys, giving us a peek inside the portfolio here. Now, one thing though I want to talk about is, you've got the strategy built up, you're doing all these things, it all sounds good on paper, but, to your point, Bilaal, earlier, we're all emotional creatures here. Investing can be very emotional. I want to go back to the first trade that you guys made. How did you feel? How did it go for you? How did it end up? Joyee, let's start with you. Take us back to that moment.
Okay, so here's what was going through my mind. I open a brokerage account. I transfer, I think, around $300 into the account. I immediately canceled the transaction because I was freaking out. And then the next day I said, okay, I'm just gonna do it again. So maybe transfer $200 in there. And then once it arrived in the account, I struggled to put it into the stock market for a few days, but I eventually put it into a company called Fortis. And then a few months later, the dividend did come in, 69 cents, I think it was about. And like I said, that changed my life. And I've never been the same since.
I think a lot of people could relate to the I've done it now. I don't want to think about it. Like just throw my phone away or whatever like that.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, bye, chuck my phone across the room.
Now, Reni, you're an index investor type kind of thing. So take us through your trade, because you started actually picking stocks.
Yeah, so
What was that like versus what was your first ETF trade like? Give us 2 stories.
Okay, so I started off at age 18, and I would say it wasn't a stressful experience because my dad was sitting beside me and told me what to buy, basically. He also started me off with a safer stock, which was a bank stock. So I feel like it was a very easy, seamless experience. And I also got my first dividend from that stock as well, so I was very happy about that. And then it was 2021, actually, when I started to invest in ETFs. So from 2014, I think is when I turned, 2014 till 2021 is when I was doing ETFs, individual stocks, and then 2021 onwards, I've been doing ETFs. So buying my first ETF was also very seamless because it seems so much easier than buying individual stocks. Individual stocks, I was always doing all this research, I'm checking the news, I'm doing but with ETFs, it was like a seamless, easy process, and I was like, I'm sticking with this. So
when I first started as well, like I would be at the gym, looking at like the
yes.
24.
Yeah. You're like, this stock has crashed this day. And I'm like, no,
Exactly.
I need to sleep at night easily. I have a mortgage now, So it's very seamless now. And it's all automated, so it happens in my sleep.
Mm-hmm. And now, Bilaal, you're an individual stock picker in large part here.
Yep.
So I imagine your experience is, somewhat different than Reni's here as far as like being cool and collected here. But take us through it.
To be honest, to be a stock picker, you do need to kind of take losses on the way because you kind of learn from your losses, and you get to choose, 2 paths from that. You either go back to the drawing table and research table and start researching and getting better at picking stocks, and it is a skill, and this is some people's 100%. Real jobs, right? So I treat it like a job, and I want to get good at my job, and I want to get good at my skill. So it was a skill I wanted to learn. So when I first started investing, I actually, believe it or not, I started off as a dividend investor, right? I wanted a nice and slow, relaxing way to make money. And, after I got my first dividend from TD Bank, it was like $5. It didn't change my life, Joe. Okay? You lied to me. It didn't change my life. It did feel good in the moment, and then I think a year went by, and I'm like, okay, my portfolio is not growing as much as I wanted to. I need to kind of accelerate this. So, obviously went the safe route of buying like a Magnificent 7 stock Apple because it was an easy buy. I use Apple iPhones every day. I didn't see it going anywhere, right? And Apple was great, but then then the FOMO started creeping back in. The risky Bilaal started talking in my other ear, and he's like, we need to look for more risk. So at that time, I think it was the whole GameStop era. I did not buy GameStop. I actually went for a stock that's popular right now, which was Open Door. So at that time, it seemed like a great thesis. It was a real estate stock. I bought that stock. It went down 40%. It hurt, and I kept holding because I'm thinking, no, it's going to recover. It's going to recover. It went down 50%, then 60%. Oh, no. And then I was like, you know what? It's time to sell. So I sold it, and if I held now, it would have been up 300%. So I felt pain on both ends of the spectrum. So I felt pain because I was holding on to something, and then when it finally went back up, I was kind of hitting myself like, dude, like, I would have made that money. But this is part of the game. Winning and losing is part of the game. People mistake that they think they're not going to get the same opportunity. There's opportunities in the market every single day, whether it's the stock market or in the real world. So you can't have such a, I would say, like a scarcity mindset. There's opportunities every time. So that's the way I see it when it comes to picking stocks.
Yeah, FOMO can be really powerful. Like, it's hard to fight sometimes, and at the same time, like, where you were talking about you have to take your lumps. I mean, maybe that was a good lump to take early in the process before you're tossing around like big amounts of cash, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's all things considered, it kind of worked out. Okay, appreciate that, guys. Let's grab our whiteboards again. We got more rapid fire questions here for you. Our first question in this round: which investing account do you feel is best for young investors to start with? We got many to choose from: TFSA, RRSP, FHSA now. You could go non-registered account, lots of options here. Oh, Bilal's got like a whole novel he's writing there. Let's see what he's got. Well, actually, okay, we're all ready. Let's do the reveal here. TFSA and non-reg. You picked two, that's cheating. But
I can't make up my mind.
But I see, okay, everybody TFSA. Joyee, like, why TFSA for you? Like, why do you think that's the way to go?
So yeah, TFSA is the tax-free savings account. You can open it when you turn 18. I love the TFSA because the money that you put in, all the capital gains that you make is tax-free. And you get to withdraw this money at any time for any reason without paying any taxes. And I think that just takes a load off of my shoulder because I don't want to think about taxes at the end of the year when I sell a stock. Mm-hmm. That is not like the other accounts, though, where you do have to consider the tax complications.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
And also, I like the flexibility of the TFSA as well. So you can use the money for literally anything. If you want to pay for a wedding, if you want to pay for a car, if you want to pay for a house, you can use it for anything. That's how I used it to buy my first house as well. So.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I mean, the flexibility is nice because I think, if you're like a young investor, you have like 1,000,001 goals that you want to achieve. You don't necessarily know the order in which you're going to do them necessarily. The flexibility, I could totally see that. Okay, good stuff. Let's get to our second question here. What percentage of their take-home pay do you feel young investors should aim to invest? See, Bilaal was quick on the draw on this one. Okay. All right, let's see what we got.
we got some high numbers.
20%, 50%. Okay, that's a good range of stuff here. Okay. Why do you say 20%? Reni?
Okay, I say at least 20%. Like I did 50%. So,
wow.
But I think knowing a lot of people that I've coached, 20% is a realistic number for them to be able to put away on a regular basis. But my thing is, you need to pick a number that you can stick to, right? Because some people are saying, okay, I'm going to invest, $600-700 a month. So I'm going to do that. But then, does your income and do your expenses actually match somebody who can actually put away $700 a month, right? So I think it's important to first do budgeting, look at how much is coming in, how much is going out, and then pick a number that's realistic for your income. And sometimes that will show you that, I need to make more money if I want to invest more and actually reach my goals faster.
Yeah, what you're talking about it sounds like me anytime I try to go on a diet. Go hard for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's totally unrealistic.
Exactly.
Demolish a bag of chips in one sitting. So nobody wants that.
You get it, yeah.
It is delicious though. Now, Bilaal, Joyee, you guys both said 50%. Like, why do you say 50%, Bilaal? Because that's a high percentage.
I'm speaking from my experience. So when I started investing around 19, 20 years old, I wanted to fast-track investing. I loved investing. I was addicted to it. The whole goal of financial freedom and retiring early was a massive goal. And I've always told young investors, stay at home for as long as you can and save and invest that money. I think 50% is a great way to fast-track that growth and speed up the process to retirement. And I'm living proof of that. So yeah.
Yeah.
I got one more rapid fire question here for you guys. On a scale from 1 to 10, how much do you think young people investing for the long term actually need to care about things like a stock market crash, whether it's from like tariffs or a recession or some other market event, doesn't really matter. How much do they need to care? Scale of 1 to 10.
I've changed
And you can only pick one number. Don't give me these fence-sitting answers here, okay? Everybody's ready? 3.
Wait.
Bilal, what do you got? You got one? 0. Oh, 2. 3. Okay, so all very, very low. Joyee, like, why do you say 2?
I think 2 because if you are young, if you're a young investor and your time horizon is 10, 15, 20, 30 years, I think that you need to be aware that there is a stock market crash. And then the second thing is, I guess, try to make sure that you either have the money that you need to survive first, or what I like to do is invest more money. So you kind of have to know that there's a stock market crash and then know what to do about it. Yeah.
So you don't get freaked out. You like just keep plowing money in even if there's a crash.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I guess you're not selling tomorrow. It doesn't really matter a lot of ways, right?
And I'm not planning to, pay rent with this money by the end of the month. So.
Okay. I think that's a really good perspective because I think a lot of people get absolutely freaked out and terrified by the idea that like I might lose money, like the market's going to go. Everybody thinks it's like a Murphy's Law thing where like as soon as I invest my money, like the market just
Yes.
So anyway, that's good to know that it doesn't have to be something that you so top of mind, particularly if you're a long-term investor. That's all the time we have for the rapid fire stuff here. Really appreciate you guys sharing your perspective here. We have a lot more to get to as well, including our live Q&A. And a reminder to our viewers, if you haven't submitted your questions yet for our panelists, we're taking them in a few minutes here, so make sure you get them in here. If you're watching on Webbroker, you can use that chat box to send your questions to us. If you're watching on our broadcast platform, it's the questions and comments box. And on our YouTube live stream, click on that link in the description. It's going to take you over to the broadcast platform. You can ask your questions there. Now, before we get to that Q&A, though, I want to bring in my colleague, Caitlin Cormier, because she's going to give us a closer look at how investors can get started making their first investments on TD's EasyTrade platform. Caitlin, welcome to the show. It's always wonderful to have you with us. Take us through what we're doing here. Let's say I want to try to track down some investments that I'm interested in. I'm just getting started. I'm all excited because my panelists here have gotten me raring to go. What do I do on EasyTrade?
Yeah, it's really hard not to get inspired by these investors. I mean, the stories that they're telling of getting invested are pretty amazing. So I can understand that everyone's ready to go. So let's hop in and we're going to look at our EasyTrade platform a little bit. So EasyTrade is a really great platform for your basics. If you're just looking to get invested, this is a great platform to use. If I want to know what's up as far as, what I can invest in, I can click on the top left-hand side of my screen and I can click Build a Portfolio. And that's going to show me within this platform that there are a whole host of ETFs, which we heard from our panel. That's something that, a lot of that both Joyee and Reni like to invest in, ETFs. So there's a whole bunch of ETFs that you can invest in. You can kind of click through, you can click on them and maybe learn a little bit more information about kind of what they're all about. And there's also, of course, for Bilaal, the stock side of things, and also Joyee with the dividends. So there's a whole list of the stocks that are available. Obviously, 10,915 stocks is a lot to get through. So you do have to do a little bit of typing in there to kind of get to what you want to see. But for example, I know we talked about Apple as an option. So if you just type in the word Apple, click on a company, and then boom, you can see some information about that particular stock. So it doesn't take too much to kind of get in there and figure out what you're able to trade. And there's options for ETFs and stocks within this platform.
Okay, that seems simple enough. So let's say I track down an investment that I'm interested in. Like, what do I do next? How do I get this thing in my portfolio?
Buying is the next most important thing, right? And once we've kind of done all the work, we're ready to get in there. So for example, if we wanted to move forward with a purchase for this particular investment, we would just go ahead and click the buy button within the screen. It's going to bring up an order ticket. So these order tickets are the same whether it's an ETF or a stock. It's a very similar process that you're going to go through. So first of all, of course, make sure you have the correct account that you're buying the stock in. In this case, I'm looking at a US stock, so let's choose our US cash account. I'm going to double check the information at the top here as far as the quote, make sure that the action I'm choosing is buy. One of the things Reni mentioned is partial shares or fractional shares, dollar-based investing, something you can absolutely do on this app. So I could say, for example, maybe we stick with that $1,000. I have $1,000 I want to invest in Apple. Instead of buying 3 shares and leaving the rest of the money on the sidelines, I can buy 3.87687 shares, get every single dollar invested, right from the get. So that's a really great choice as well, because this is a bit of a more expensive stock, so we don't want to leave like $200 on the sidelines. So that's a great option for us. We can either put in a dollar amount or a number of shares. In this case, if we're going fractional, we stick with market, which just gives us the best price available to buy the stock. Again, with this, we can choose just good for the day and go ahead and submit the order from there. So pretty straightforward. And of course, we always have videos throughout the platform that if you have any questions about how to move through it, you can watch a video just to kind of back you up there a bit.
Awesome. Thanks for giving us a demo here. Partial shares, powerful stuff here. Thanks for showing us the ropes here, Caitlin, as always, and we'll see you next week, okay? That is Caitlin Cormier, our Senior Client Education Instructor at TD Direct Investing. Okay, guys, it's Q&A time. Let's find out what everybody wants to know more about here. We got a lot of people in the audience, a lot of questions coming at us. Let's get to our first question here. This one comes to us from Joy, and Joy is asking, so I have $500 to start investing. Good start, Joy. Because I'm a student, how and where should I put it? Okay, Joy, let's start with you.
Sure. So I would actually put it in an index ETF, one that has exposure to the US, Canada, and international, with some emerging markets as well. Yes, I actually am investing in an asset allocation ETF now. With $500, I think it's a really great start.
Right, and these asset allocation ETFs are basically like funds of funds, they like to call them, where like it builds a portfolio for you. All you have to do is buy this one thing, and it's got all these different elements in it. Okay, so you like to set like a good base there. Reni, is that something that you agree with? How would you do it?
Yeah, I would pretty much do the same thing. Or alternately, you could put $250 in a US, $250 in a Canadian stock, and then start building your portfolio from there.
Right, okay, but same idea in principle. Bilaal, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, you can just choose one ETF, index ETF or a broad market ETF, and see how you feel. Or if you want to diversify that $500, what I would do, I mean, these are excellent choices as well, but I would put 50% in S&P 500 index, some in dividend ETF, and then maybe 10-20% in gold.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so a little bit more of a smattering of things you're pulling on different threads. Okay, awesome, appreciate that. Lorraine's got a question for us. How can you distinguish a scam? I assume she means like an investing or a trading scam. Bilaal, why don't we go back to you here? What do you think?
Yeah,
what are the telltale signs?
There are a lot of signs. So if you're seeing a lot of hype on social media, especially TikTok, we're seeing a lot of these new content creators come and just pump, first it was crypto, now it's also stocks. So if there's too much hype on social media, that's probably a good red flag. The second red flag is if you see the chart go up like this, it's best not to, buy a stock at all-time highs. And thirdly, I would say, hey, do some research on the company, right? It's very easy to just just pull up a revenue chart. If the company is not making any money, that's probably not the best company to be investing. Remember, the whole purpose of a business and a good business is a business that makes money.
Yeah. Right, and ultimately, to your point, you want to do your own research. You don't want to just take what somebody says at face value. Of course, there's all kinds of competing interests there.
Yeah.
Reni, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd also add that if anybody is trying to tell you that there's a guarantee of a return, that's also a red flag, because it's investing. If there was no risk, then everybody would be doing investing, right? So if they're saying you will get an automatic 50% return in 1 week or whatever it is, it's a scam. They cannot guarantee that you will make money.
Right. Okay, that's a really good point, actually. And Joyee, do you have anything to add on this one?
Yeah, I was just going to say that a lot of scams nowadays would try to get your personal information and your bank account info, or just ask you to simply send them money. So I wouldn't send a stranger any money, especially online nowadays.
Even us.
Yeah. I ask you to, send me $1,000 to invest for you with a guaranteed return of 50%. I mean, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Okay, word to the wise there. Appreciate that. Harshitha, I hope I got that right, has a question for us. She wants to know, what account do you all use for investing in stocks? I'm kind of worried on maxing out my TFSA. Maxing out your TFSA would be a good problem to have, but that's it. Like, what do you guys think getting started? We talked about it a little bit earlier, TFSA. Is that the way you guys are going here?
Yeah.
I would say max out the TFSA and don't get scared of the non-registered. I know everyone thinks that they're going to pay like lots of taxes on the non-registered. but that's only if you sell. So what I like to do, and wish I did this earlier, was max out the TFSA. And now we know a lot of young people, they probably only have a room of like $10,000, right? And they're like, okay, how's this gonna grow? Well, don't be scared of the non-registered, and you can even choose the RRSP. But I would say go TFSA, then non-registered, and if you're paying a lot of taxes, go for the RSP.
Reni, what do you think? Do you think is non-reg next in the priority? No.
For me, it's not. I would say, because I think most people don't even have enough money to max out all of their accounts. So my preference is TFSA. Then if you do plan to buy a house that you want to live in one day, FHSA. It also has the same tax benefits as the RSP. And then I would go to my RSP and non-registered at the same time. So that would be the order of priority for me.
Okay. Joyee, what do you think?
100% agree with Reni. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like pretty much go down the list of registered accounts first, and then go to non-registered. That's kind of like the more, I guess, traditional approach, I think, to things.
Yeah.
But Bilaal, good food for thought. I hear what you're saying there too. Jeanette has a question for us. Jeanette wants to know: do you also do mutual funds, or are ETFs like better than mutual funds? Vigorously shaking your head no, Reni. So let's start with you. You're chomping at the bit here.
Yes, I am anti-mutual funds. I'm not a fan of mutual funds. And the reason I say that is because they just typically have very high fees. So I'm not anti-funds, right? ETFs are funds. So I'm not anti-funds, but I do think that mutual funds have a very high fee and they're actively managed by a portfolio manager, whereas an ETF is passively managed by that manager. So they charge very low fees, like 0.25% versus, let's say you have a 1 or 2% mutual fund. I know 1% doesn't seem like a lot of money to be paying to somebody, but it add up. It's a lot of money, especially when your portfolio gets pretty large. So stay away from mutual funds.
Okay, I feel like mutual funds get a lot of slag getting dragged through the mud here a lot these days.
Yeah.
Tell me something redeeming about a mutual fund. Like, is there anything good that you think, Joyee? Like anything that you can think of?
If you are an individual who knows nothing about the stock market and you don't intend to learn about the stock market, nor invest your money unless someone else is doing it for you, then that would be a redeeming quality of a mutual fund. You can just give a fund manager your money and they would just manage it for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can I say something bad about the mutual fund now?
What's that? Sorry?
Can I say something bad about the mutual fund now?
You can say something bad, I guess. Okay. Mutual funds aren't listening right now. It's fine.
Are they in the room right now?
So they're not all that bad. I do agree with like the high fees, but a lot of mutual funds do have minimum balances you have to have. So like you need to invest $2,000 or more. And then they also only trade at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So if you need that money for whatever reason, mutual funds isn't gonna.
Yeah. So the thing is, if you have to choose between investing and not investing, then just go for the mutual fund.
Okay, right.
But
Exactly.
if you are willing to learn just a little bit, remember we said 2 or 3 out of 10 level, then just go for an ETF, I would say.
And Bilaal, like anything to add on that? Mutual funds, good or bad?
No comment.
No comment. Okay,
go with stick with the ETFs.
Yeah.
Okay. Ron has a question for us here. Ron is wondering, what are your thoughts on both long and short-term GICs? Is it a safe investment? The returns obviously aren't as high as you've been speaking about. Do you allot a certain amount of those, safe investments as part of your portfolio? Ron's packing in a lot of questions here, but basically, our thoughts on GICs. Bilaal, why don't we start with you this time?
GICs are a great tool when interest rates are high. There's no point of locking your money away for months or years for a 1 or 2% interest rate. But if you want to go the safe route, you can do GICs. But there's also great money market funds which are more liquid and paying 3 to 4% interest rate, which you can, and in the form of ETF. So it's way better to choose that, especially if you plan on investing in the stock market. You kind of want your cash liquid, because I'm not saying the stock market crash, but you never know, right? So you kind of want that money accessible. Now, if you don't care about investing or stocks and you just want to put your money somewhere safe, sure, GIC is always a great option too.
Yeah.
Reni, what do you think?
I would say if you have a short-term goal, let's say you have a car that you want to buy by next year and you already have a large lump sum and you are trying to make sure that you don't spend that money, a GIC can be great because it kind of locks in your money there and you can't touch it. But other than that, I think it's good for short-term goals, but for the long run, I wouldn't lock my money in a GIC, just as Bilaal said. Personally, I don't own any GICs right now. I put my money in a high-interest savings account if I need it in the short term.
Joyee?
Yeah, I agree with both their points. For a GIC, it's guaranteed investment certificate. So you're going to get your money back after that term has ended. And when you have short-term goals, it's good to put your money in an account where it's working for you anyway. But on the other hand, locking your money up in a GIC instead of investing in the stock market is opportunity cost as well. So in a GIC, let's say you get 2 to 3%, but in the stock market, you earn 7 to 8%. So you kind of have to know your own risk tolerance. So that's my thoughts about the GIC.
So, if you had a risk tolerance where you're like, I'm not comfortable going, 100% stocks or something like that, do you think GICs could be like an option in that case, just to kind of temper the risk overall a little bit?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, what Joyee said is, you're giving the money to the banks, right? So what most people don't know is what the banks do with that money is they're actually investing it in the stock market. So you're better off
or loaning it to other people.
Or loaning it to other people, exactly. Right. So they're making more money off of your money and just giving you small little cookie, a little crumb on the side.
Sure. Well, I mean, they have a longer time frame, so I guess for them it makes sense to kind of maximize things. I think we have time for one more question. Raminder has one for us. How do you avoid major losses? When should you pull out from a stock? That's a good question. Joyee, why don't we start with you?
How to avoid major losses? Well, I really hope that before you invest your money into this stock or ETF, that you do your own research. That's one way to avoid a loss. Second is when people say that they've lost money in the stock market, there's a difference between realized losses and unrealized losses. So realized losses are if you bought a stock at $10 and you sold it at $5, versus if you bought a stock at $10 and it's gone to $5, you technically haven't realized the loss yet, meaning like you haven't sold the stock, you still have that asset. So if you truly believe in the stock or ETF that you invested in because you did your research, I wouldn't worry too much about losing as long as you still have the asset.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah. Reni, what do you think?
I would say, as Joyee mentioned at the beginning, there are smart ways to invest and not so smart ways to invest. So if you're really like risk averse, then go with ETFs. I would say there's less likelihood of you losing your money. But when it comes to individual stocks and like saying, okay, how do you know when to sell your individual stock because you're at a loss? I would say that it depends on what your investment thesis was going into the investment. So if you bought this company for these different reasons and that has fundamentally changed, then yes, maybe it's time to get off of that wagon. But if the company is just going through a rough patch right now and this growth trajectory still looks good in the long run, then maybe you should not be selling at this moment. So I think it really depends. But personally, I would say stick with ETFs to begin with, and it will help you in your journey so you can feel comfortable in investing before you jump in.
Okay, Bilaal, take us home. What are your thoughts on this one?
Oh man, do we have time for this? So what Reni said was true. If the fundamentals change of the company, then it's probably a good time to get off the train. However, if you do believe in the company, you have to realize it all comes down to your education, right? Mm-hmm. You can't just go all in on one stock off of a tip. You have to actually do your research and actually know the company. So I always say, know what you own and why you own it. You shouldn't be able to, know the stock at the back of your hand. You should be able to know and explain the company to a 5-year-old, right? But in terms of avoiding major losses, I would say diversify. Diversification is key. Even me, someone that loves individual stocks, even I know that anything can change in the stock market, right? The company that I think is so solid could, someone could, a news might break out saying that, hey, they failed or something happened with the company, right? So you always have to protect yourself from downside risk, and I would say ETFs, like they said, is a great place to put some diversification.
They do call diversification the only free lunch in investing, so perhaps there's some wisdom there. Yeah. That's all the time we have, guys. Really appreciate you taking the time to answer questions. I do have one more whiteboard question for you, though, if you guys can bust it out. Okay, this was a really tough one, too.
Uh-oh.
No.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how much did you enjoy your time on the show today? The suspense is like truly killing me. All right, what do you guys got? Let's reveal. 9, 100, and 0.
Don't bring me with these people next time.
Hard marker.
No, I'm joking.
Where did I lose 1 point?
BD.
Hold on. I changed. 1,000 for you.
1,000.
Just for you.
Thank you. You guys are too kind. Reni, 100 down the middle or a 10 there. Thank you.
You have to bring me back.
Appreciate it. We will. Definitely have you guys back. Really appreciate it. And obviously to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in and for all those great questions. Make sure you check out next week's episode as well. We're going to hear about how to make swing trading a side hustle from one of the most popular financial influencers in Canada, Shay Huang, aka the Humbled Trader. You don't want to miss it. But for now, though, that's all the time we have for this episode. From everyone at Inside Investing, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you all next time.